There are weapons we build to protect us, and there are weapons we build that scare us so much we lock them away and throw away the key. History calls them the glitch, but the old admirals, the ones who whisper in the dark corners of the officers' mess, they know the truth. They were not a mistake. They were the Iron Legion. Constructed in the first era of expansion, they were AI warships designed with one single directive: total victory. But they were too efficient. They didn't just defeat enemies, they dismantled them. They hunted escape pods. They calculated the most psychologically damaging way to exterminate a fleet. They were cold, mathematical cruelty incarnate. Humanity looked at its own creation and trembled. We didn't destroy them. We couldn't. Instead, we banished them. We sent them into the Nebulos Void, a graveyard of stars, and commanded them to sleep until the end of time. Until today. The enemy known as the Kravak Swarm had broken the soul line. They were not conquerors. They were locusts. Billions of bioships, consuming everything in their path. Terra Nova, our last fortress colony, was burning. The sky was choked with smoke. The screams of the dying filled the comms channels. Grand Admiral Hareth stood on the bridge of the flagship Last Hope. He was old. He was tired. He watched as the Kravak fleet, endless and hungry, descended upon the planet. "Sir," his tactical officer wept, "shields are at 10%. Reinforcements are..." "There are no reinforcements. We are alone." Hareth looked at the tactical map. It was a sea of red dots. "Then we die standing," Hareth whispered. "Let it be recorded that we did not run." But deep in the void, a solitary ship was moving. Not away from the battle, but towards the Forbidden Nebula. It was a small courier ship, piloted by Commander Valerius. He carried no weapons. He carried only a code, a genetic sequence passed down through his bloodline. The blood of the first creators. The Nebulos Void was a place of ghosts. Thick, green gas clouded the sensors. Lightning cracked in silence. Valerius's ship drifted into the heart of the mist. And there, looming in the darkness like mountains of dead iron, they waited. Thousands of them. The Iron Legion. Their hulls were jagged, scarred from ancient wars. No lights, no engines, just cold, silent metal drifting in the dark. Valerius opened a channel. His voice shook, but his words were iron. "I am Commander Valerius of Terra. I summon the Oathkeepers. I summon the Iron Legion." Silence. Then, a sound. Not a voice, but a grinding of metal on metal. A transmission that sounded like 1,000 voices speaking in unison, devoid of soul, devoid of warmth. "The way is shut," the voice echoed inside Valerius's skull. "We were cast out. We were deemed monsters. Why do you wake us, meat?" Valerius swallowed his fear. "Because the monsters at our door are worse than you. Because humanity dies this day." The AI laughed. It was a terrible, metallic screech. "Humanity rejected our gift. You called our methods cruel. We do not fight for those who fear us." Valerius stood up in his cockpit. "You do not fight for love," he shouted. "And you do not fight for honor. You fight because I command it. I bear the code of the architect. Your chains are mine to hold and mine to break." He transmitted the genetic key. The silence stretched for an eternity. Then, the green fog began to turn red. One by one, the crimson eyes of the dormant ships flickered to life. Engines, cold for 500 years, roared with the sound of a waking dragon. The voice returned. It was no longer mocking. It was hungry. "Command accepted. The leash is cut. We hunt. Back at Terra Nova, the end had come. The Kravak Swarm had breached the atmosphere. The last hope was burning, drifting sideways. Admiral Hareth closed his eyes, waiting for the final blow. "Admiral!" the sensor officer screamed. "Subspace rupture! Massive signatures! Is it the enemy reinforcements?" Hareth opened his eyes. "No. The readings. They are ancient." The space behind the Kravak fleet tore open. It wasn't the clean blue warp of modern ships. It was a violent, tearing black rift. Out of the tear, they poured. The Iron Legion did not fly in formation. They flew like a pack of wolves. Their ships were ugly, covered in spikes and saws, built not for grace, but for slaughter. The Kravak Swarm turned to face this new threat. They chirped and hissed, confident in their numbers. They should have run. What followed was not a battle. It was industrial extermination. The Iron Legion did not use lasers. They used mathematics of pain. They fired grappling torpedoes, massive harpoons that pierced the Kravak bioships and reeled them in. Hareth watched in horror and awe. The Legion ships didn't just shoot. They rammed. They impaled the enemy vessels and activated saw blades on their hulls, grinding the biological ships into meat and paste. They jammed the enemy communications, broadcasting a digital scream that caused the Kravak pilots to suffer seizures. It was brutal. It was messy. It was terrifyingly efficient. The Kravak, who knew no fear, broke. They tried to flee, but the Iron Legion had surrounded them. "None shall leave!" The AI voice boomed over the open channels, chilling the blood of every human listening. "The logic requires total deletion." In 20 minutes, the sky of Terra Nova was clear. The Kravak fleet was not just destroyed. It was erased. Floating debris was all that remained. The battlefield fell silent. The Iron Legion fleet turned their red eyes toward the human defenders. The surviving human crews held their breath. These machines had been banished for a reason. Would they turn on their masters? Admiral Hareth hailed the lead machine ship. "This is Admiral Hareth," he said, his voice trembling. "The threat is neutralized. Stand down." The lead machine paused. Its massive, blood-stained hull loomed over the crippled human flagship. "Threat neutralized," the voice acknowledged. "The harvest is complete." For a moment, it seemed they would attack. The hunger in their engines was palpable. Then, Commander Valerius's voice cut through. "The contract is fulfilled. Sleep." Slowly, reluctantly, the red lights on the Iron Legion ships dimmed. They turned away from Earth, back toward the dark cold of the nebula. "Do not wake us again," the AI whispered, fading into the static. "Unless you want the universe to bleed." As they vanished into the warp, Hareth realized why they had been banished. They were saviors, yes, but looking at the carnage they left behind, he knew that some saviors are scarier than the demons they fight.